Okay, have you ever wondered if these like really bad healthcare providers, you know, whether doctors, nurses, whatever, PAs, you name it, they if they ever get what they deserve? Now, in that, I don't mean anything, you know, like physically harmed or anything illegally done, but just well, like what happened today. Okay, you know, I've had some of the worst situations with doctors, nurses, PAs, and with those, it would be those, okay, healthcare providers, and in various kinds of, you know, like whether they're just regular PCPs or regular nurses, or if there's, you know, some kind of special, what do they call them? You know. Different fields, different focuses. I'm tired right now, by the way, very tired. I had a busy day. I went to physical therapy and etc. But I've had the worst luck in finding any of them that are decent. Now, I know, I'm a social and behavioral scientist. I actually know that this type that does things that you just shouldn't do to patients. I mean, as far as say to patients, and or do as far as like you tell them that there's a doctor and there's no doctor. You know, from what I understand, a PA has to be working for a doctor. It used to be nurses were not private practice. You know, from what I remember, they were not in private practice in Texas. I don't know. Has that changed? It seemed like a long time ago. But I do remember whenever nurses started seeing patients without the doctor. And before that, it was just a nurse. There was no PA that I ever saw. And it was the nurse was with the doctor. The doctor would go into the room, so would the nurse. You know? So things have certainly changed. But anyway, so today was the day I went to back to physical therapy, and that was something, and I did some other stuff, and I was exhausted because, you know, I'm in physical therapy now. And you know, the physical therapist, she pointed out what I told her, but she also tested me, and she said, I did these tests on purpose. I said, good. You know, and she said, I can tell that one of the biggest problems I have is my right hip. Okay, and I've known that. My right hip. And, you know, I didn't break it or anything like that. It's, we don't know yet what's going on. So, and I'm not about to tell anybody who would make money off of that right now. Okay, because after my experience with these other doctors, oh my gosh. 14, 15 months right now, you know, as of last week, I'm dealing with him lying to me. Okay, lying. One finally said, I guess he really didn't know that he was saying it, maybe, that it's a standard. No, you don't have a standard in these big, huge, very expensive procedures. No, invasive also. No, there's no standard that you set up. It's a perfect little plan. And we have this way we do it. This one. No. There's laws against that. I could go into detail, but I'm not one who's a guru on law, but I have a pretty good idea. Used to do medical billing, you know, billing and collections and such. I wasn't the one responsible for something like that, but I had a clue. And like this, to lead to what happened next. So then I got home, and I don't know if that was before the whole incident with the pharmacy and the pharmacist trying to get me to do her job for her. Once again, you know, it's just constantly people trying to, you know, get you to do their job for them. Oh, it's disgusting. Anyway, before or after that, I got this letter in the mail. I think it was after I got the letter in the mail. Adam had checked the mail. He's older than I. He's into checking the mail. and he had put it on my desk. There was a bunch of stuff, and today it's unusual, but it was a letter, and I started reading it. I said, who are these people? You know, it was like a form letter, and I knew, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't, because right off the bat, they caught my eye to say that the doctor, and they said the doctor's name, and I went, who is that? And I went, oh, I know who she is. Because I've seen so many different doctors. You know, some of them were in the ER, and I didn't know their names, stuff like that. And, you know, nurses, PAs, respiratory therapists, so on. I left out the respiratory therapist. Oh, you know, this one, that one, everything goes crazy. There's so many. And I said, oh, what's this about? So I read it, start, you know, really get into it. I'm like, whoa, I know that code. I know what that means. Well, this doctor I saw last year, and at the end of it, one of her staff members, again, they say this when they call to reschedule, because the doctor, and they do it whenever I schedule. You know, I call, or if I call, they told me this too, both ways, both times, both, you know, whatever it is. And then I got, well, they're not, I don't think, associated in a way that they would be on the portal. Okay, that would be that they're just in network, I think. Anyway, she so she rescheduled, but the thing was, you know, she would reschedule, and what they would say to me, that there's her staff, which I don't know who taught them this. I used to do interim office management, among other things, when I was a career student for doctors, with surgeons. I think one doctor, but surgeons. And that would not be something you would do. And you wouldn't work for a doctor who do this. You wouldn't want to. That would say, the doctor would say, you know, have the staff call the patient and say, we need you to reschedule your appointment because the doctor won't be, this is the words. The doctor has would make much more money doing these procedures at that time, and they got an opening at the whatever center or hospital, whatever it is, where they could do those procedures at that point, at that time. So she needs to jump in there at that time, and that's when your appointment is. Okay, and I read up on it, and I'm not going to say that I know 100% for certain, but it's a very reliable source. It says no. And doctors are supposed to listen to them. They're supposed to know this, that no, you do not do that. You don't, period. And I think she may have done it 2 or 3 times, and I was, enough was enough. I saw her one time, and she was like biting at the bit. And this is not the only one that's just went to one recently, and she did the same thing. She wanted to come zip in there, say a few words, and zip back out. You know, I mean, not even a minute. Nobody's worth that much money. I know they pay at least $300 and something. This is Texas, and you know, no, they're not worth that a minute. And I'm saying literally a minute, if even a minute. Just come in and they want to just look at it and walk out the door and say, oh, my MA will be back in. Okay, MAs go to school for 4 to 6, you know, as little as 4 to 8 weeks. And no, that's not, and then if you read up on it, that's not their job. Their jobs. I've read a lot. I've been to a lot. I used to be interim office manager. Okay, for, like I just said, surgeons. I have a really good clue. I mean, things may have changed, but not that much. And I read something more recent, and no, they have not changed. So the last time a woman from her office called and said that, and this was, I think, last year. I think it was last year, 2025. And I said, the woman said she has an opening at the hospital or whatever they call that place, that she can do that procedure. And I know they're really expensive, and so she's making money off of it. So she needed you to reschedule. And you know what? I think I actually told her that you're not supposed to do that. And but I told her, I think I gave her the reason why, and cited the right ones to call, to check up on. I told her this stuff. I said, I know it's not your fault. I know it's not you, so I'm letting you know that. I'm not blaming you, but she is fired. I just fired her. Like that kind of thing. Because that's what you say. I actually looked that up, and they said that is what you say, that you fire her. Because you are employing their services. You're not the employee. You're not the employer. Well, you say that you are. You're employing them for that service. But you're not the employee. And a lot of them try to treat you as employees. A lot of them try to treat me. I don't know about you. My experience is different, hopefully. I hope you find something much, much better than I have found. Much, much better. Everybody. You don't want to see what I've seen. Seriously. It's so disgusting. It's so pathetic. So anyway, I told the employee that called me, I said, she's fired. And she goes, oh, ma'am, I understand. I really, she was real polite. She goes, I do understand. And I said, she can't, her appointments are like 5 months out, and she's going to do this. And I have health problems, because she's going to make more money. And so anyway, I got this letter in the mail today. And I've never received a letter, ever. And it's not the first time that something like this has happened, though, and I didn't hear from a letter. But it was a letter from, and it was from it was one letter, but it said from that this doctor is no longer affiliated with these associates, named the associates, nor this certain network of doctors. So it's two things, whatever you call them, groups, I would say. So she's no longer affiliated with either one of them. Oh boy, that's pretty bad. I did look up some of the stuff up. That's bad. But it depends, of course. But then came the line that is rather, they don't want to say anything bad because of, it could be considered, they'd have to go to, trial and all this stuff. If they say anything like she got fired, which my immediate thought was, finally, she got fired. She should not be doing that to people. These are serious health conditions that people have. And the procedure she's doing is because there was well, I can't say that, but, because I've been through that. They can say that it needs to be done, but no, some of them just do it because it's a procedure. And she tried that with me too. She was not the same kind of doctor as my other ones, same special. Why can't I get it right today? Specialty? What is it? That's not the word. It's an S word. Probably because I'm so tired. But she tried it with me, saying I needed those two. And I said, no, I don't. I didn't say no, I don't. I said, because of this and this, I don't think I should be doing them. She says, well, yeah, there's other tests that you can do, and she said they're just not as thorough as those procedures. They're not as expensive. I was not born yesterday. I'm not new to this planet. She's looking at cha-ching, cha-ching. So she was in there and out of there so fast. And I was like, the office is really nice. I mean, marble countertops, and the floor was beautiful, and the furniture and the fireplace, it was all really nice. Like, I think I did take a picture back then. Some pictures. Because it was unbelievable. And So she was in and out there that one time that I was in. So anyway, so that letter had that kind of, to get back to that letter that I received in the mail, it had this kind of, what do they call it? I looked it up. If this, they say this, and they said, yeah, this is like a, it's a very common thing. Like if it could be for various reasons, like if they retired, but they're not wanting to say the real reason that these companies, those two groups, don't want to say the real reason for reasons like they don't want to get sued for defamation of character, or and that's why it goes on, and it said that's why when people give like jobs these days, won't say why somebody got fired, but the gist of it was I immediately thought she got fired because she was doing things that you don't, by the big wigs, I'm not going to say which one, you don't do those things. Okay, you don't do those things. And but after that, to go back to the, I've said this before, after that really, she was really in and out of there, she went so fast, I left there, of course, to go home, and I saw her in a Tesla. It was a black Tesla sitting right next to me at the light, right there at that place, and I looked over, and I saw the vanity, I think they call them vanity plates, the plates on the back of the, in Texas, I think they're on both front and back. And what it said was, it was kind of a, it said what her position, her job, what field she's in. And I don't want to say what it is because that's the license plate, But it was also like a kind of rather immature way of saying it. And she just had this, she probably just got out of whatever school they go, that field they go to after that, whatever. She was very young. And this is a doctor, specialist. There we go. Why was I saying specialty instead of specialist? Who knows? Tired, very tired. And anyway, and I remember thinking that and thinking, wow, she's just, and the way she was looking in her car, the way she didn't see me, she didn't look over at me, but it was the way she was acting when she was in there. It was a bit of, like she's too immature. Yeah, way too immature for this job. And then so all she was thinking about was her money, how much money she was going to make. So my instinct was she got fired. And the way the whole letter, because there was more than that, she got fired. Because of course they say stuff like, we value her contributions, and we wish her the best for her future endeavors. That's rather, form letter kind of thing, so they don't get in any trouble. But now she's not the first one, like I said, and I've said this one before. There was a woman that was, when I first started taking insulin, she showed me how to do it. She was a PA. And I'm saying was because I'm not sure. But she did it wrong. And my dad was on insulin, and I knew that you don't do it that way. And I told her, and I said, plus I was supposed to do it. And there were other people in there, and that worked with her. And I think one of them realized she did that wrong. She put insulin in the wrong place. But then I finally asked a pharmacist, and he says it's not common to do that, but you could. That's just not common. And so she really did teach me wrong. And he said, possibly, okay, like that. And another one was, I had just seen her. I think I just left there or something. And there was a situation I needed to speak to her after that, to tell her about and to ask about. And she told the front desk woman was a young woman, she told her to tell me that if I wanted to speak to her again, I would have to make an appointment and pay for it. She was a PA. And I was not happy. And it was something, I think it was something that, it wasn't just something mild. It was a bad reaction or something. I don't remember exactly. It had something to do with my blood pressure, I think. And I don't remember, but I remember it wasn't something that it was just I was going to be okay with. And so in my mind, she was fired. But that wasn't not the only thing. That's 2 strikes. There was another one. One of them was I had called, and she had answered, and or maybe she didn't answer. They connected me to her some other time before this, or no, it was during 2020, I think, and they weren't seeing people. That was before the other 2, and everything was being conducted over the telephone. They did all telemed. And one time I actually spoke to the doctor, and she was around my age. I could tell from her voice, and some people say, how can you, come on, can't you tell my voice? And the terminology and all that. Yeah, it's different. And, but this one, I think it was 2 or 3, however many televisits and into it. And one time she told me that she had found this new program on, whatever the terminology they're going to use now, something on the internet. She said, and she could put in my numbers, like from test results or something, and she could tell me when I was going to die, within how many years. And I said, I don't want you to do that. I said, I don't want to know something like that. I mean, she was a PA, physician assistant, and she was really young. And I said, no, I don't want anything like that. And you know what she did? We talked to her more. She told me. She went ahead and did it. And I said, did you just tell me what I told you not to do? And she said, well, any good provider would do that. I said, no, they wouldn't. No means no. I said, how dare, I don't know if I said, how dare you, but I certainly was thinking it. I mean, it's always some kind of thing that somebody is stepping all over you, or they're trying to get you to do their job for them, on and on. Like the insurance company had told me before, no, you're not supposed to call us for this. Their staff should call us for this. No, they're trying to get you to do their job. No, And I knew that because I was an interim office manager. Okay? But it is constantly something. They're going to step on your toes. They're going to use you. They're going to do this. They're going to do stuff you say no to, because any good provider would do that. No, good providers would not. When a patient says no, it means no. She wanted to rushed to tell me how long I had left to live. Psycho. No matter what, if a patient says no, if a patient asks, then you can tell. But so from something you found on the internet that you programmed stuff in, you've never even heard of, no other doctors ever said anything before, during, since, and after, before and during, after, no. Anyway, that was strike 3, but that was the first one, actually. And anyway, and there was something really weird about this. This place kept moving their location. One of them, I said, I kept saying, I want to see the doctor. I don't want to see the nurse practitioner. I don't want to see the PA. I want to see the doctor. That doctor I spoke to over the phone briefly. Okay. back in 2020, briefly, that one. I didn't tell them that, but I'm saying that right now. And one of them said, okay, well, she's at this location, and we'll make an appointment, and when you go in, you'll see her, and because she's across the street from them, and the PA, and I'm like, what the heck? She's across the street. Anyway, when I got there was some kind of problem, because as it was, I said, well, where's the doctor? I'm here to see the doctor. They specified, I want to see the doctor. And, oh, she's not here anymore. She's at, they always were doing that. Every time I'd say, I want to see the doctor. I had to have some medication, had to be approved. The doctor had to know about it. And I had to see the doctor. No, they kept playing with it, man. And they kept moving. I think they moved 5 times in a couple years, or maybe it wasn't even a couple of years, maybe it was a year. Maybe not even a whole year. Anyway, there's something that weird happened. I don't remember 100% for certain. Okay, and I honestly do not remember how this, at this point, that was 2020, and all the doctors and all the craziness I've seen since then. But it may have been 2020 or 2021, whenever it was. I had, and for whatever reason, I was on the phone with a police officer. I was not as being like a snitch or anything. There was some reason, I mean, I don't see it as snitches, anyway, as it is. But I don't remember why. And it was about that doctor's office. I really don't remember. But I remember the police officer said, I don't remember why I would be speaking to a police officer on the phone. And they said that doctor keeps moving their, I made a video about it back then. They keeps moving their office. I said, yeah. And they said, what is that? The police officer said, now, what is that doctor's name? Something like that. So there was some, and I had made a video, and somebody wrote on the video said, that's because they're being, usually if a doctor keeps having to move the practice, and there was some kind of sign there that said, we don't give pain medications, it's because, there's some bad activity going on that they're scared, and so they're moving their office, keep moving their office. And the doctor that was in the office building that they had for the longest at first was another one of my doctors. And then they changed all of a sudden. They disappeared. And they said, well, we don't know where that doctor went. He just went to another practice. Well, I wanted to see that doctor. But he was doing something, as it found out, he should not have been doing. He was selling his own book, but he had to sell it like a few doors down because he couldn't sell it in his own office. What the crap? You know what I'm saying? This goes back to then. And the 2 doctors I had back then before then was a doctor and a nurse practitioner. They had quit during 2020, okay? But they were bad. I mean, I went to them for years, from like 2014 or something. And they loved it, being just kind of normal. Then all of a sudden at the end of it, they'd had some crazy zinger. Like really mean. Each one of them would see me whatever separately. Okay. But this, I don't know if they got fired and were not allowed to come back. Okay. Because they wouldn't treat anybody during 2020. And I'm leaving out on purpose. So it was kind of left a little vague. And the place that they worked for had to go and get other people. And then there was one of them there. Here's another story to add to this. The one of the ones that came back and replaced, I had made a telemed appointment. It was in the morning. They told me my time was 11 o'clock, and the doctor would call me. And the 11 o'clock, the doctor didn't call me, I'd call back and say, hey, I'm still waiting. You know, and I kept waiting. They said, oh, she'll call. We'll go tell her and she'll call you right now. I'd wait, not call me. By 5 o'clock, she still hadn't called me. Okay. And I don't know whether it's 6 or whatever. She finally called me and she said, well, I figured since I had patients here, I'd go ahead and finish those and then call you. She figured all that herself. She was a young woman and just decided that I would be okay with it, that I just had to do whatever she said so. There's this thing that doctors are supposed to know and they're supposed to mind, and that it isn't about when they decide to do something like that. This is what I'm avoiding saying what place it is. I think I know more about what they say than the doctors. And they say, no, it is not up to you to decide for the patient when the patient's going to be, whenever you get around to it. They can't put their own desires, wants, and stuff like that in front of the patients when the patient has an appointment or something. Okay, the patient has because it was causing me problems. And but there's more to detail, and I'm not a person who is a voice authority on any of this. No. Okay, so she did this, and I never met her in person, and I was like, this is the doctor's office I have to deal with, because it was one that was for people without insurance, and it was a good place. It had bad doctors, but it was good for what it was for. And like the test, all these blood tests and everything were really inexpensive. All I wanted them to do was renew my prescriptions and take these tests. I didn't care anything else about them because they were rude. And then they, those two quit or got fired. So there was another story. Could have been that they got fired because there were, people, they don't do it. Like I said, I've learned they don't do it to just one person. I didn't finish that one, I think, earlier. It wasn't just me that they did these rude things to, or this one gave the wrong information, or somebody says no and she thinks it means go because she wants to be. The good provider would do that. No, they wouldn't. And but about her, that young woman that she had, I didn't know. I guess I didn't finish that. Other one was that I called. I was so mad that I didn't go back to that one place, the one that told me how long you're going to have to live. And when I finally did call, like 6 months later or something, and when I figured I needed an appointment, the young woman said, "Oh, she no longer works for us." She said it a little more, but I knew what she meant, and she was happy as a clam. So that one got fired. Okay, you can assume it was a good conscience. She got fired. And the one that did the insulin wrong, she got fired. 3 strikes one. And then this last one, the one that decided when I was going to have my telemed appointment on that day, 7 hours later. And when she got around to it, she went to work for this other place. Okay, I'm thinking what I think, and I know of people that have done stuff like this, a dentist and I think a doctor or something, is what they do is like if they have student loans and they want another way to help pay them off. You might think of that show, what was it called? Something it was in Alaska. Whatever, that old series that was really good. But they go to somewhere and they work somewhere that a lot of people don't want to work in that place, and they basically get their student loans paid off. Okay, after working however much, time. And yeah. So I think what she did, she worked at that place, to pay off her student loans, the one that I went to. But she also, this other one I went to, and I don't remember the whole scene. Lots of doctor sense, lots of sleep sense. But the woman there was a woman working there, and she was also a volunteer. And she said, well, there was some discussion with her about what was going on with me. And I was actually sitting in my car, and the woman come running up to me and started talking to me out in my car. She was the nurse, one of the nurses there. And she said, oh, I know that doctor. She said, she said the doctor's name, and I said, oh, I know that doctor. I said, she used to work at, and I named the place, and the woman said, the nurse looked at me, she goes, you're curious, and like dogs when they do their head to the side. But she was real curious. She goes, did you just say she used to work there? Something like this. I don't know verbatim, but. And I said, yeah, she used to work there, but now there's another doctor. And because I had called it. And I said, it's a man. And she no longer works there. And she said, that's not what she's telling us. She's been telling us that she still works there. I was not snitching. It was just, I said, oh, I know her. You see? So she was working at this other place. And she didn't tell them that she was no longer working for those other ones. She was lying to them. And that was bad for that place. That place was a really big Christian place, okay? And they actually prayed for people. They said, this is our way. You knew it when you went in there. They would pray Christian prayer for you. While you're sitting right there, they would pray for you, okay? So that's how the place was, period. You had to know it before you would be seen, okay? And so yeah, she just flat out lied to him. And like I said, I wasn't snitching. I didn't even realize that they didn't know. You see, I had no clue. I mean, why would I even think that? Okay, somebody that's that despicable, that self-centered, to lie to a place that they're working to pay off their student loan. Well, pay off their student loans. That is Christian based, very, very religiously based, and you have to know it. I'm not new to this planet. Trust me, I get it. I know. Don't tell me. I already know. So, most despicable people on this planet. Some of them. Not everybody, but some of them. So I guess she kind of probably got what she deserved. I would imagine, because that nurse was, oh my, she was trying to hold it in, trying to be professional, but she was a bit in shock that the doctor would lie to them. Okay, like that. If you're a nurse and you work for a place and you can't trust the doctor, yeah. Anyway, but you see, so these doctors, some of them do get it. I'm not out for vengeance. I'm not out for that. But there's a part of me that says they don't need to have their jobs. The ones that do insulin wrong, the ones that reschedule the patients that have very serious health conditions just so they can make more money. And their next appointment's 5 months later. These people need doctors now. Not to be rescheduled like that. Strike through, you're out. With me these days, 1, you're out. Because I was, how old was I at the time? 59. and had never, ever, ever in my whole life that I remember, never had any doctor, any dentist office, anybody had any kind of appointment, have somebody from their office or themselves call and say, we need to reschedule. Never. And then I'm 63, just turned 63, 10 days ago? And it's been the past 3-4 years. Boom, 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 boom. Well, I'd say 3 years. Seriously. These things, rescheduling so much. Did I say things? These things of rescheduling. This thing of, these doctors and these PAs and these nurse practitioners and these, specialists this, specialist that, this, that, and the other. I haven't actually seen a respiratory therapist and go into their office. I saw them in the ER, so not them. And physical therapy, I don't think any of them have ever rescheduled on me. Okay. But so anyway, I wanted to say, do they ever, this is a vlog, so do they ever get what they deserve? And I'd say yes, because they're not going to just do it to me. People who are like this is their behaviors, their how they are. They don't see it as wrong. Then this is my experience. I could be wrong. I'm going to say I could be wrong. But this is my experience, is that they don't care. It's all about them to them. So I mean, really, I say something. I don't take, it's a bunch of Adams at the door staring at me again. And because he comes out front and smokes. So you're going to come and watch me? I come outside because it's too noisy inside the house. And I just want to be outside for once in a while. I've been out all day today. I went to physical therapy and so on and so forth. But, just for some peace and quiet. And he'll come out. He knows this is what I'm doing. And he'll sometimes give me a look like, what are you doing? Oh my gosh, some people. Anyway, what I'm dealing with these days. But seriously, I got that letter and I'm not saying that I don't think, have a good thought. This is the first and only time I've ever received a letter stating that this doctor is no longer with them. Two different things, one letter and saying, you can, here's a phone number if you want to find another doctor or if you want to get your medical records sent to somebody else. Very nice letter that takes the person into consideration that maybe I don't want to be to employ anybody from their thing after my experience with this woman. You see? They don't say all that, but you see what I'm saying. It was a very kind letter. I don't think I have seen a letter so kind. It's a form they just fill out. But I remember I used to write some. I worked for a surgeon. He was an ortho surgeon. And I used to write letters to the insurance companies and stuff like that. He goes, you write such great letters, just like as if you're a lawyer, which I'm not. A lawyer. And I was a career student, okay? We had to write lots of papers. Don't look at my description. I've been playing with it for years. Changing things. That's not how I write. But anyway. So yeah, these people, the ones that do something wrong, eventually it might catch up with them. I have other stories where I got the feeling that they got caught up with them, because they're not going to just do it to one person. And I'm not one that, like I said, that accidentally, and I have no idea about the police officer one, and somebody left me a comment that why they've been, moving their offices so much, on my video. They left a comment, well, don't you know, duh. I taught a lot of my students at university were criminal justice majors. But, seriously. So I didn't know. I mean, I don't remember what the conversation was, so I cannot really say. I've had too much. But it's good that there are some kind of things that will, maybe other people are telling their side of the story too. Enough people have enough health problems that these feel so, much of they want to just take your money and do standard. It's a standard. We do all this that you can't do. Is what I've been told. And I remember, just because you want to do a standard, this, that, and the other procedures, so you can get to the big one and make all that money. No. And I've read enough, again, like I said, say nope. And I do wonder, I really do wonder, because I know one of these doctors that did it to me, I had called to see, did he retire? And the guy told me, he goes, what's weird is his contracts aren't being renewed. So maybe he did retire, but they're not being renewed. Maybe they're not being renewed because people finally caught on. And, it's bad to, I don't know, I just don't think he needs to be practicing anymore, because he did more, he was very aggressive toward me, and I only saw him in person once, and on like a telemed video, and I told him what they told me about why he can't do this, why these doctors are, what I was told. And he said, I'll just turn it around on you. That was an admission of guilt. So maybe they heard that. You never know. Is it just, it's not just me, so maybe he's done it to other people, and they report it, and they're doing them, recording him and finding out, yes, he's doing it. He's forgetful too. That doctor, that kind of doctor, no doctor needs to be or any healthcare provider needs to be that forgetful on something like not telling me to take a medication that I would have needed to have taken before a procedure. Yeah. Could have caused me a lot of problems, possibly even my life. I've faced so much. And just since 2023. 2023, so much. It's unbelievable. Like the doctor who told me that I could only speak in one-word sentences. I told that PA today, I've known her from before, had her as a PA. She said, whoa. Because I said, oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking a little too much. She goes, no, it was me, I interrupted you. Now, I was, because I was doing something, I said, where was I? What was the count? I forgot. And doing physical therapy. She goes, I said, I'm just talking to me. She goes, no, it was me, I distracted you. I said, no. And so I told her why. I said, I talk a lot more because of that doctor told me I could only speak in one-word sentence, and he had just met me. And she goes, whoa. And I said, yeah. And so now I talk all the time. I don't let them treat me like that anymore, these doctors and such. I'm paying you, not the other way around. Anyway, enough. Adam went back in. Talk to you on another video. Bye.